heard you're a student from National Law University, Jodhpur. Like I've done like moots in different subject matter, and so far competition law was the one that I was most interested in. Then I was part of a journal also in my college. It's Indian Competition Law Review. So through that, I got like basic insight to what competition law exactly is, right? So I found it quite interesting, and therefore I decided, this is something that I would want. Like so far, company law or anything else, I did not find it that interesting as competition law. So I thought maybe if I'm going to, do a job, or maybe do anything, practice work under a lawyer, competition law would be something that I would want to make my career in. Things like from drafting legal opinion to drafting an information to be filed, and all the interim application that needs to be filed. So all of these sessions have been conducted. Since there are two, it's divided in two parts. First is enforcement part, so we're like almost done with the enforcement part. We're doing our last exercise, that is on appeal and reply to an appeal. And now we're going to move on to the merger control part, which is like an entirely different thing when it comes to, and the law firms basically, they 80%, 80-90% of their work is in merger control. So the course is wholesome in form of they also include the enforcement part as well as the merger control part. So far we've been dealing with enforcement, and then we'll move on to merger control, I think by next week. Anything specific in the sense that we've learned a lot about drafting, as in how to go about drafting the information, and how to go about drafting applications and all, and how the practical aspects of the litigation that goes on. So for example, last week we had a session about how exactly the process goes on, which is very wholesome, which was very wholesome in the sense that we cannot learn something like that in such a short span of time. If you're doing internships, or if you're working in a job, it just takes a lot of time to learn that, right? So, and nobody really, like in my internships also, I've come across that nobody really explains the entire process. If a matter is going on, they'll give you a particular task, you have to finish it. There's no background to it and how the process is going on. So with regards to that, a wholesome session was there in which each and every step of the enforcement part was explained. So I think this is one of the main things that I've learned. A session with Rahul Rai, which basically it was interaction between intellectual property and competition law. Even though I have read a lot of articles on that, what he spoke about was something that was very contemporary, and the way he dealt with it was also like from the basics, so we understand the rationale behind what's going on, instead of continuously just reading about it and not understanding the core values of it. Secondly, they also talked about few things. Actually, one of the things he talked about, I'm actually writing a project on that, and maybe I'll try to get it published. So like one of these sessions was very insightful. And another session, like last week also, one session was conducted, which dealt with appeal, and that went on for about 2.5 hours, but it extensively dealt with appeal and reply to appeal in NCLAT and reply to appeal and how it's drafted, and what all things that we need to take care of, and all the contemporary issues are also discussed. And even on the group, anything new, any new development that happens, it's discussed on the group. So I think it's a very wholesome experience, and it's a very wholesome course in order to understand this area also. I either text on the group if I think everybody will benefit from that, or maybe when the session is going on, we ask our doubts. It's like immediately responded to, or if anything else also comes up, um, we can directly reach out to Miss Shweta Rath. She's she's the one who's our course mentor, so we can directly reach out to us, and the queries are resolved in like a few minutes. Actually, it doesn't even have any sort of delay or backlog. So that's quite nice, because they're very active in resolving our doubts, and they want the session to be more interactive. And so everybody asks their doubts and it's resolved, it's answered in a matter of minutes. So I personally did that because when I was doing my internships, I realized that uh, our law school curriculum is definitely very inadequate to deal with all these practical aspects. So all of them, even though you're a topper in law school, it just you're still starting with you're still starting with the very bottom in order to understand, and then in order to gain some competitive edge, in order to be, and seeing that the people, associates and the partners, they can't take out time from their busy schedule to explain each and to walk us through each and everything. So I think gaining competitive edge and uh, in that, and getting the quality of better quality of work in your internships is the reason I took up this course. And I think that will be beneficial for anyone who's looking for gaining that competitive edge, or doing the most meaningful task instead of the redundant and most clerical tasks in your internship. So I think getting most value out of your internship is something that is one of the main reasons for me to take up this course. And I think that that is providing me that edge.